tracking it for us. Well, today marks World Mental Health Day. This year's theme is Young People and Mental Health in a Changing World. According to the World Health Organization, suicide is the second leading cause of death. This is among 15 to 29-year-olds. Experts believe many of these tragedies can be averted by paying attention to some of the warning signs. In studio with me, Dr. Sabulelo Siape, and she's the chairperson of the Psychiatry Management Group, to discuss this further. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Doctor. Let's talk about, just the warning signals. One of the things that you've said in the statement you issued is that not everybody who is depressed is suicidal, but certainly everyone who is suicidal is depressed.
Most people who are suicidal are depressed.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about then that impact that you're seeing, especially on young people.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more young people killing themselves. As you've rightly said, up to 10% of teenagers are killing themselves per year in South Africa, which is a phenomenal number of people, And it's unfair and unfortunate, because I think if we were more aware, we would avert this tragedy.
What do you think perhaps needs to change? Because often, even as you're going through your teenage years, a lot of the concerns that you may raise are dismissed as, oh, it's just adolescence, they'll get over it. But when should parents really start paying attention?
I think parents should be paying attention all the time, all the time. And as you are very right that it is fairly common that parents will dismiss things that they shouldn't dismiss. I think it is very, very important that parents should be more aware, should be listening, should be looking out, and should be aware of the warning signs, And no suicide attempt should ever be taken lightly. Let us find out what happened as opposed to just leave it and forget about it.
What are the warning signs?
Well, as you've rightly said, most people who try to commit suicide or succeed in committing suicide are depressed. So you look for the signs of depression, and you would be looking for, the child being a little bit more quiet, more removed, more isolated, less mixing, less interest in all sorts of things that they should be interested in or they used to be interested in. They would also, sometimes there's outbursts and irritability or even running away from home. Sometimes they'll complain that they're bored, they're irritable, they're agitated. They could even say they feel hopeless and helpless. And I might add that helplessness is a very serious sign of potential suicide. When people get to that point where they feel completely suicidal, they feel helpless, and that is what spurs them on to try and commit suicide, because they feel there's no hope.
How do parents then better, or even guardians really, better capacitate themselves to deal with teenagers who obviously sometimes would be irritable because of whatever it is that they're going through, to know how to handle those situations? Because even when young people withdraw, oftentimes, parents just let them be, because they say, I just want to be by myself. And, people just let them be instead of actually saying, hey, there might be something more to this than what we see.
I think irritability is a sign that can never be just on its own. Nobody just stands up and becomes irritable. There should be something behind it. You may be upset, you may be angry, and there should be a clear indicator why you got angry. But if suddenly you're just irritable, then there's something wrong. And it should never be just dismissed.
And for those parents whose children are not opening up to them about the causes, not just of the irritability, but of the problems that these teenagers are facing. And I think on some ends, obviously, there's also a generational issue, where lots of young people today, the concerns that they have or what leads them into depression could be very well the fact that I got 10 likes on Twitter or on Instagram, and not necessarily come from the traditional sources that parents would be accustomed to.
Yeah, I think, as a parent, you also know that your life was completely different from your parents. So at least you should have that insight to say my child's lives might, the pressures on them might be different from the ones that I had. And the issue is always that parents are too ready to dismiss. You are irritating, you're a naughty child, you are attention seeking, you are all these type of things that are not useful. So you should, first of all, try and understand your child's life. Have a very open relationship with your child. And more important, be open about things like suicide, like depression, like anxiety, like keep a reasonably close tally of what's happening within your child's life.
When does tough love kick in? Because there is a point where parents say, okay, well, I'm going to give you some tough love now because you don't want to come out of this rut.
No. When you're in a rut, you don't need tough love. You get tough love if you have misbehaved and you've been corrected and helped to see the right thing, and then you continue to misbehave. But so it's completely different. When somebody's depressed, they don't need tough love. They need attention. They need being listened to. They need help. You know, it would be completely inappropriate to give tough love when somebody's depressed. It's almost like saying if somebody had a heart attack, you'd give them tougher love. I mean.
Well, what kind of interventions can be put in place when parents do see the signs that, that we've spoken about, that do kind of raise that alarm?
I think when the parent feels that they're reasonably aware, they reasonably understand the signs, and they talk to their child. And if the child does not open up to them, they can suggest, can I take you to somebody else? Do you want to see a school teacher, a counselor, even the neighbor, somebody else that you can talk to? Or should we just go directly to see the doctor, the community health clinic, ER?
For those children who do refuse, who are insistent on the fact that they don't want to talk to anybody, even though it's clear that they are going through something, what should parents do?
That's where you then need extra help. You say to the child, I am worried about you because I can see that you are not the normal child I'm used to. You don't have to necessarily speak to me, but I would appreciate it if you speak to somebody else so that we can alleviate the situation wherever we can.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on to Newsnight and giving us that perspective and insight. And, it's such an important issue to tackle, especially for anyone, friends, guardians, sisters, brothers of young people. Those statistics absolutely alarming, almost 10% of teenagers there.